Yo guys, welcome back to another video. Now that we have the starter decks and everything updated on the sim, and I've been able to test for a week or two now, I wanted to share with you guys some of the lists for Bonney, Yamato, and Carrot that I've really been enjoying over the past week. These are some of my own lists, but also some from other players that we've been able to talk to or test their lists live on stream. If you would like to join, you can always catch me on Twitch or YouTube streaming over at Fidelio TCG. Come join the community. You can help us cook. Lots of fun, and I appreciate everyone who's been hanging out lately. It's been really nice. But I just want to go over the lists, kind of talk about some of the key cards and choices, and just give you guys some kind of templates if you want to use them, or like starting places if you want to take them and tweak them to your own liking and all that stuff. But without any further ado, let's just jump in and let's get started. And before we jump in, real quick, I have a METAFY, and I have a free EBO2 Bonney guide that if you would like, you can get that one. And then I also have an OP11 Bonney Head Start guide. It's $5. There's a lot of really useful information. There's a ton of info about the Blue Purple Luffy matchup, and I will be updating it very soon with all of the new thoughts on the starter decks and updated matchups like Buggy or Yamato and Black Purple Luffy. Kind of talking about all that stuff. I appreciate everyone who's already purchased the guide and said good things about it. I really appreciate you guys. And yeah, just wanted to give you a little heads up that this guide is there. Go check it out on my METAFY. You can find the link in the description below. But let's jump into the rest of the video. All right, so we're starting off with Bonney. It's our girl. You guys know I love Bonney. I have a few lists for you here. Let's check out the first one. This is the 333 Supernova build, and I've talked about this list quite a bit recently. This is very similar to the one I actually show that I was testing in my guide. Not much has changed, actually. I think one of the only things I changed is I added a 2-cost killer instead of like 3 2-cost beiges. And that's just because early game beige is not a very great blocker to throw down, just in case we need that kind of like just a chump blocker to deal with stuff. Or sometimes you can throw down a blocker and you know that it's going to be safe until you get to your 8-cost kid, and then you can play something like Rosie with your 8-cost kid, and then alongside that you already have your other chump blocker from before. Just really nice insurance. And just to have another option to choose from search, right? But yeah, so far I've been really liking this 333 kind of with 3 kids, 3 Doflamingos, 3 Law and Beppos. This Doflamingo slot can be Shanks, it can be Zoro. I've just found in some of the testing in OP11 that Shanks, you know, Shanks is still really strong. I don't want it to be like confused or anything. You can run Shanks if you'd like. You can run Zoro if you'd like. Just in my own personal testing, I found Doflamingo to be just a little bit more useful in most matchups. For Blue Purple Luffy, he's not as useful, especially if they get their 8-cost Katakuris on board, but you can still, you know, that's why he's at 3, he's not at 4, because if there's, you know, if you have 4 Dofis, sometimes it just makes the Blue Purple Luffy matchup a little bit harder if you're drawing too many of them. But in that regard, we can rely on Beppo more. But I'll get into this more in the guide, and I'm gonna be updating the Blue Purple Luffy matchup section a little bit more, especially with the new starter deck cards. But for that matchup, you're already kind of just trying to go very aggro and put a lot of pressure with Hody and stuff like that. Kid kind of is a backup plan, and then our top end is there if we have the right opportunity to use them. Law and Beppo can be really nice in a pinch. There's lots of things to get into. I don't want to get too into the weeds because I just want this to be more about showing you guys the deck list and talking about some of the cards. But that's the main game plan. I found that Dofi is really strong against stuff like obviously like Green Purple Luffy, Black Purple Luffy, Buggy, aggro in general, as long as you safely get to your 10 on turn. And now that we have, you know, we're running a Rouge, we're running the 4 2-cost killer searchers, Kid and Killer searchers, and we have Hawkins. We have a lot of ways to get our Dawn back up. And you'll notice I'm not running the 1-cost Bonney. I think it's a little bit of a choice, and I'm going to show you a list that does run both of them so you guys can kind of see. But this is just something that I've been cooking, I've been really enjoying. I don't hate the idea of double searcher, but I am still like tweaking a bunch of lists that run both Kid and Killer and 1-cost Bonney, so I'm just not 100% sure at the moment. But this is a build that I've been enjoying and doing well with on the sim and just in testing in general. One key card that you may have noticed that I wanted to talk about quickly is 7-cost Bonney. So why 7-cost Bonney? In this meta, it was a card that first, like when I was doing the double searcher build, I wanted more mid-game targets. So things like 7-cost Kid or 7-cost Bonney I think are kind of more applicable in this kind of meta, especially if you're running the double searcher build, the double supernova searcher build. 7-cost Bonney was, while it started as just like a card that I was just, you know, kind of testing, just kept like showing up and kept being really good in a ton of matchups that I wasn't expecting, and has actually become a card that I am totally fine with running it like 2. I'll go over the reasons here. It's a good option as essentially a 5th carrot, you know, 5th, 6th carrot. In this meta, stunning key cards like 6-cost Luffy, you know, like the EVO2 one, but also the new starter deck one, are extremely important. Yes, carrot can also do that even with the raised cost because it makes it a 7-cost, but you know, you don't always have carrot, right? And sometimes you want to have a slightly bigger body as well, but also, and for freezing boss monsters in a pinch can be really important. There are some times when you can play Bonney in a chump blocker and it just makes your opponent not be able to go for lethal the next turn, and this is also a card most people are not really expecting right now, so I think it's very strong. It's out of range of 9-cost Mom. They can't send it to the bottom of your life. It's out of range of Grav Blade, and you know, all the things that are like 6-cost and lower, right? Plus it's just harder to KO in general for black decks, and the 7k power line hits for free against 7k leader buffs. And I think this is going to become really important, especially against Black Purple Luffy. It seems like Black Purple Luffy is taking off in the West. And not only that, it's just like against Green Purple Luffy, yes, most of the other 5 costs have a 6k attack line, but being 7k just requires a 2k out of the hand if you're only just swinging for 7. There's lots of little things that add up over time, I think, and just having this stat line, while 7/7 isn't like the most impressive thing in the world, it's still really good. You can play it on curve or on your 8 dawn turn if you don't have anything better, and it's searchable off of you know, your searchers. 5-cost Bonney is another option that is good, but since throwing off dawn curve doesn't affect as many leaders in this meta, I prefer 7-cost Bonney. 5-cost Bonney can be very good, especially at throwing off like your Blue Purple Luffy's first 9 or like 10 dawn turn. You could argue that there's different strengths for each one, but me personally right now, I think 7-cost Bonney is actually in a really good niche position that is strong in the meta. So try it out if you're interested. I think it's a really strong card, and I've been having lots of fun using her, and I love the alt art so much. Anytime I get an actual chance to play this card and it feels strong, I take advantage of it. But let's move on to the next list. This is like a 5-cost smoker kind of mid-tempo-y list, very similar. And again, this Ezo can be 5-cost Drake if you'd like. I just really like running Ezo because it's very good at resting early game units against aggro, and resting if you go second against Blue Purple Luffy and you rest their Zoro. If they're on 3, they play Zorojuro, then you rest Zorojuro, you swing 6 into it with leader. Most of the time they can't really save it, or if they do, it just puts them at a disadvantage for the rest of the game. I think that's much better value than Drake, and I think Hawkins just being a like plan B, plan C for keeping Dawn up and is better against stuff like Teach is the reason I'm running for Hawkins. But you can run Drake, it's totally fine. Drake is still strong. I still think he's a very strong card. So we're running 3 5-cost smokers. The thing is, this is a little greedy with counterless. We're only running 11 2Ks and 2 0-costs. We did reduce 1 Law and Beppo. It's not 3 anymore, it's just 2. You could run 2 smokers, it would be fine. But like if you really want to see him on curve, you're probably going to want to run 3. But this is a little bit greedier, a little bit more like just we're going full force, kind of almost like more aggro style. I do like this type of approach for Bonney a lot of the time, but it does come with its own cons. But yeah, this is another list that you can consider. And this is Lewis's 7-2 double searcher supernova build. They went 7-2 at the most recent Florida regional, and I will have actually hopefully soon, very soon, a video talking to him of him going over his deck list and a tournament report. But I really and we talked to Lewis on stream and we checked out his list, and I really like it. I think this is super strong. It's just so consistent and stable because you have 8 chump blockers, 2 beige, 2 killers, 3-3 split on the double search, which for me personally, if I'm gonna run double search, I think it's the 3-3 split. I don't think the 4-2 is really worth it. and I don't think 4-4 is necessary unless we had like a supernova that has the same effect as Carrot or you know, Hody. Until there's a little bit more like mid-game power cards that were supernova, I don't think you would need 8 searchers. So I really like this 3-3. They're running the 3 Izo, the 4 Hawkins. We talked to them on stream, and one thing they said is maybe Dofi goes down to 2, Beppo up to 3, or find a way to get Beppo, Law and Beppo up to 3, which I totally agree with. I think at 2 or 3 is strong, but yeah, this is really good. There's not a lot of counterless in the deck. There's a ton of counter. There's a ton of chump blockers. Like, you have multiple ways to search. You're gonna find your main key pieces. I really like it, and shout out to Lewis. Congratulations to them for going 7-2. That's a really good run. He had a crazy matchup bracket too, so like shout out. And look forward to that video. But that's it for the Bonney build. So next, let's go to Yamato. Yeah, one of my favorites, still my original OG favorite leader, one of my favorite leaders to this day. I love Yamato. And I've been working on some builds, but so have other people. Kudi, a member from the Discord, came up with this really cool Wano build. I know like a lot of the Wano builds look very similar, but I really just liked the ratios on this one, and I liked how it worked. We played this one on stream the other day and just won like a ton of games in a row. It was kind of crazy. This is similar to a Wano build that I had been trying to make, but I just hadn't really found kind of like some of the pieces. I couldn't put some of the pieces together, and I actually ended up liking the Mihawk. You know, this is not any kind of new tech in Yamato, but the 3-cost Mihawk with your targets being like 1 Ashura Doji, which is potentially really strong, Kikunojo, Nekamushi, and the 4-cost Hawkins. So this is going to help you in some of those black matchups and some of those matchups where normally they just control and KO your board. It makes it much harder when you're running Hawkins, and he kind of helps just like add a layer of protection that you might need, give you an extra body that sticks on board. Really strong. This is a 3-3 split between the Momos. I could see running the Rush Momo at 4, but I don't hate 3-3. We're running the 4 Yamato searchers. You'll notice too we have 3, 6, 10, 14 2Ks. It's a lot of 2Ks, but it's not like unheard of for Yamato to run 12 to 14 2Ks, right? If you remember like some of the old Sky Aggro builds, especially the ones that were popular in Japan, we were running about 13 14 2Ks. And the reason is because you need to be able to kind of be defensive at all times, and then kind of shore up at the end of the game when you are essentially kind of planning out like, okay, I'm going to go for lethal the next turn, so I have to make sure I survive this turn, right? There's a lot of reasons to run a ton of 2Ks in Yamato, and that's one of them. 4 Onamis and 2 Izos, which I kind of agree with this ratio. You could do 3-3, but Onami's trigger is just so huge. It's so crazy. Like just being able to pop like an extra Sanji pudding or something is just so important in a lot of matchups, and it gives you 6 banished targets. I don't think you really need to run 8, but 6 is definitely enough. What else do we have here? We have the 3 0 cost, so 3 Hiyori is okay. I almost would rather run Izo at 4 and Hiyori at 2, or Kinemon at 3, some kind of ratio like that. Just because Izo is so strong into a lot of matchups, and obviously like getting that the rest on Zorojiro, even with Yamato too, like it's 99% of the time it's worth it to just rest Zorojiro and swing into it 6K with leader. Another card, I know a lot of people, this is kind of a contentious card, I guess. A lot of people don't really like Doji. I love this card. I think it's incredibly strong. Again, like I had a game earlier today on stream where I KO'd Zorojiro with this, and Luffy didn't have his ramp the next turn. We just hit them with some rush afterwards and ended the game within like 3 or 4 turns. This card is situationally good against stuff like blue purple Luffy and green purple Luffy, especially if you just threaten with a banished attack first. If they counter out of it, then you have Doji to back up like whatever character they play, or to KO it, right? But in some matchups you want to just go aggro. It's totally fine. That's why we're only running 3. But the main thing here is against slower decks and decks like that are 5 life leaders. Doji is just so clutch. It can just really swing the tempo for you. Yeah, he's only a 3K attacker, but with leader effect, it becomes a 5K. It's just really strong. There are just so many things that I think Doji is applicable for, and I want to just take a moment to say, like, Yamato can be a very aggressive leader, but you need to remember that you can also be very smart with how you're using your leader swings, because the best way to get resources out of someone is not by swinging 8-9K with leader. It's by swinging 5, 6, 7 sometimes. Like getting the most value out of your opponent by swinging lower numbers and getting them to get rid of all their hand so that you can punish them with something like a banish swing or punish them with KOing their character with doji, I think is what really separates some of the like more straightforward Yamato players and the more like thoughtful and more perceptive Yamato players. So I wanted to say, like, I think there's so many ways that you can incorporate the new Wano cards into the deck and use them smartly, and Doji's a good card. That's all I'm trying to say. But yeah, this list just pretty straightforward, pretty solid. I really liked it. There's definitely some things we were talking about tweaking. Like, you don't have to run the Mihawk package, the Mihawk 2K. You don't even have to run Hawkins. There's lots of things you could change up. We were even talking about like 3-3 split between Hawkins and Nekomamushi. It kind of depends on the meta. If there's KO stuff, keep Hawkins in. If there's not a lot of KO stuff, take him out. Tons of stuff you can do, but I think this is a very solid core of a Wano list that I really liked. So shout out to Kuti. And yeah, let's move on to the next one. This is a bit spicier. This is a very spicy and ambitious list that I'm trying very hard to make work, and in my testing so far has been pretty strong. I don't think the Supernova Yamato builds have been as popular in the West as they have been for us over in Japan for the past couple of sets, but Supernova Yamato has been like the de facto strongest Yamato build for at least like 2 sets now. But a lot of people utilize stuff like yellow ACOS Kid alongside green ACOS Kid, and I wanted to take an approach where we use just some of the strongest Wano cards thrown in with the Supernova package. And now that we have the searchable Law and Beppo here off of Kid and Killer and Bonney, I think it's just really strong to have as a potential top end, because one, you can play Kid you can play Law and Beppo but still use leader effect to put the Dawn on Kid. So if you're in a situation where you're like, okay, I just need to survive one more turn, let me get another big body on board, stun one of their characters, and become a 7k leader, it works great. Like 10 costs work amazing with Yamato. If you remember old Fortress builds, we used to run ACOS Kid and 10 cost Doflamingo, and the reason you could do that so easily is because you need to get your opponent to 3 or less life. That was imperative. But once you did, you know, you have leader effect to put Dawn on Kid every single turn, so you can play 10 costs kind of like for free. It doesn't matter, right? You don't need something like a Cavendish to restand Dawn like you do in Bonney. Yamato is very strong in that way, and the way of thinking about it here is like you just get like, it's just searchable, so you're fine running 2. You don't have to run 4 Dofis. That kind of like makes it more clunky and a heavier build with much more counterless. And I know you might be thinking like, well, why would it matter being a 7k leader behind Kid? One, it's an insurance policy. It's just like, say you play Law and Beppo, you stun a character, you become a 7k leader, you have Kid, you have some counter left, you're not quite sure if you're going to be able to survive, you don't know if your opponent has like a Gamma Knife or something. The difference between losing the game if your opponent gets rid of your Kid that turn and you being a 5 and a 7k leader could be huge. Like, that's just saving you 2k counter every single attack that comes after they get rid of your ACOS Kid, and can sometimes lead you to just being able to survive so much more, because you can almost count your leader as like a mini ACOS Kid behind your ACOS Kid because you're now a 7k leader. I think there's just so much unexplored potential here, and I think it just works good with the Supernova package. It is a little lacking in some of like the mid-game plays that you have. I understand that, like if you don't have Kikunojo or you don't have your 6-cost Momo, you're definitely gonna try and find your Hodies. But here you're kind of just searching. You have your banish swings that you can do, setting up blockers. There's a lot of stuff you can do. I think this list is very strong, and I've had some success testing it. And like there's way more stuff I want to go into. I want to try a Supernova or a Wano Mink build as well. So if you catch me streaming, we'll probably be working on that too. But that's it for the 2 Yamato lists. Let's move on to the next leader. It is Carrot. We got Carrot, another one of my favorite leaders that really honestly hasn't had much time to shine ever, even since her release in OP8. But I have 2 lists for you today, and one is a non-Zo approach. This is more of a mid-aggro kind of resting, like with the Garchu event. Basically, the idea here is I've been trying 2 lists, one with Zo, one without Zo, and I've been having kind of differing results for each. The thing here is like when you run Zo, you needed at least 3 or 4 copies, right? And when you do that, you're essentially, you know, that's 3 or 4 more counterlists that you just have to deal with in the deck. So my idea here was like, just get rid of Zo, focus on our mid game and late game, and you know, search out early game. It's the like the balance is good in the deck, right? It's just like if you see your pieces, and I do think you can still struggle against stuff like blue purple Luffy, but we're trying to tackle that with, like, you know, like Hody, Bonney, Law and Beppo, and if we have a chance, Dofi. But that's also why we have 5-cost Smoker here. This will give us just another potential strong early like 5, 6, 7 Dawn turn play. And yeah, I think this is really strong. I think I like the Garchu because sometimes you need that extra rest. I know Carrot can already rest so much, but like, if you can survive, you get like Hody into Dofi or Hody into the Beppo, and you still have, if you have 2 or 3 characters on board. One thing that I really like, people don't know this card exists, the Sicilian. It's really good. Essentially, you play for 2 and you can rest 2, and then you can restand one of your 5 cost or less mint characters. Really strong. This card can come out of nowhere and people will not know what hit them. One crazy combo that you can do in Carrot is you play this to restand one of your characters, and then you can rest it with Garchu to rest any of your opponent's characters. So it's kind of like restand law, but for minks. There are just like so many little intricate combos you can do with this deck that's really strong, and I know Zoe opens up even more possibilities for that. But if you're looking for like a non-Zoe archetype mink build here, I think this is really strong. And again, I'm running where I used to be running like 5-cost Bonney and a lot of Carrot lists. I think 7-cost Bonney is just a little bit more applicable in this meta. I've already gone over it for the Bonney list, so I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but I just think it's really strong. And since we have so many 5 costs and 4 costs already, I think it's pretty good. The Bardo blocker, I think is essential, especially even in Zoe. I think it's 1000%. You should be running it at 3 or 4. And even in this build too, though, I think it's just so good because it helps you cycle. You can obviously, you play Bardo down and then you use your leader effect to rest one of your opponent's characters. You get the free draw 1, trash 1. It's really strong because like as long as your opponent has a target that you can choose with your leader effect, you're gonna get a free draw, a free cycle that turn. Consulate is kind of just like an early game mink to get down, just to make sure that you're going to be able to use your leader effect, because sometimes it feels bad when you don't see Wanda. You got to play a Milky or something. Even in a pinch, you have to play Sicilian. I think Consulate is a decent card to just throw down if you don't have a searcher or anything, and can just help you seal the deal in certain aggro matchups, or you know, stun a searcher, make sure that your opponent doesn't get extra value if you want to just go for face or something like that. I don't think there's too much else here. We're running 4 Dofi, just because I think it's really strong in this current meta. 3 Beppo because it's searchable, 2 0 cost, the 1 Garchu, and 2 Luna. You can mess around with the ratios of things, but this is essentially the deck right there. And then I have one more. This is the full Zoe approach. So obviously we're running the new Carrot from EBO2, and we're running 3 Zoe. I can't run 4 right now. I know you should run 4 for the full consistency. I know, trust me, I understand, I get it. But when I run 4 Zoe, like everything falls apart. I can't do it. So I just take the chance of not hitting it in the 7 cards. I think that's almost more worth it to me than just running the extra 4. If you want to run the extra 4, just take out a Dofi, take out a Luna, take out something else, right? A lot of the stuff is the same here. I am running the 1 Sicilian, 1 Consulate, and 2 Inuarashi. This is just to give us another target, like another decent mink target to get on the board. I don't think Inuarashi has that many good targets in this current meta, but it's still, you know, like can really mess up like a Zoro or a Betty's day. Even Reiju, if you have the Carrot for like the Chiji, and then you have this for like maybe a 4-cost Reiju and a Portia on the board or something. 2 Bonnies, 3 Hodys. I think Hody is very necessary. You could even just run him at 4. He might be needed at 4. I'm still tweaking certain ratios and stuff. And then 4 Dofi, 3 Beppo. Again, like the lists are very similar, as you can see. This one doesn't have an Inuarashi, this one does, but this one only has 1 Consulate and 1 Sicilian here. These are some tech choices. Feel free to just tweak it and change it. Carrot is the you know, these decks are the ones that I'm still in the middle of testing the most. But I've had some good success with both of these builds. And I think Zoe is pretty good for getting you the Dawn back that you need for swinging 6k at leaders like green purple and blue purple Luffy. So while I don't think there's that much actual value right now for restanding your characters, getting the 1 extra Dawn to swing 6k guaranteed every turn is incredibly powerful. So I understand the pros and cons of both approaches for Zoe or non-Zoe. Let me know. It is pretty intricate and like complicated, and I like talking to people about it. So let me know what you think. Am I crazy for only running 3 Zoe? That's what I really want to know. I just can't run 4. I've been burned. I've tried Zoe 100 million times in different builds, and I've been burned every single time. But with this new carrot, like, it kind of works. So I think we're just gonna, you know, we'll try it. We'll try it. But that's it. What have you been cooking? What have you been cooking in the OP11 plus starter deck meta? I have not got around to testing some of the other leaders. Like, I haven't really tested Shanks, I haven't tested Buggy, I haven't really been able to test black purple Luffy, but I really like black purple Luffy as a leader, so I'm excited to kind of get into that. Let me know if you've been testing any of these 3 leaders and what you think of the lists. I'm really excited to keep cooking. Please join me over on Twitch and YouTube when I stream. You guys can come in and help us make some new deck lists or try out different things. It's really fun. We play with people on stream too, so yeah, feel free to come join me over there. And that's it. So thanks for watching. Please check out the METAFY guide as well. Join the Discord if you're interested. Follow me on Fidelio TCG on Twitter, YouTube, everything else. But I just want to say thank you, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.